why we need reasons why forest conservation is necessary, why we need forest conservation, or we should practice forest conservation. If you remember all the points of importance which I have discussed, the productive functions, regulatory functions, protective functions, same points we apply in this part of the chapter. Why we need to protect the forests. Clear? So, you note down certain points. For protecting the soil, I'm just writing the words. For protecting the water table, for moderating the temperature, moderating temperature conditions, for protecting wildlife, now wildlife, please note, includes flora plus fauna, both. Don't just focus on trees. Animals are a part of wildlife. And the fourth point, why we need soil conservation. For maintaining ecological balance. Now, you will notice I have condensed the points. If you read through the chapter, there are many points, and these points you can write it many different ways. All your answers will be correct. What I want to do is put it into your minds that these 4 topics should be taken into consideration when you're writing the answer as to why forest conservation has become an urgent need in India. You write this point and then explain it briefly so that your answer becomes complete. Clear? So this is, I don't think I need to go further into it. Under the functions, I've discussed it. We move over to methods of conservation. You can use the word methods, or you can use the word measures. First point, which is the most important, increasing area under forest cover. Increasing area under forest cover by 3 methods. Please note down these terms. You get these terms separately for definition. Checking deforestation, encouraging afforestation, and encouraging re-afforestation. All these 3 have to be practiced simultaneously, then only the forest cover will increase, or the forests will come back to their natural form. First important point with 3 side or subtitles. Second point. Using alternative sources of energy. Please remember, a large part of India is village, rural India it is. People still are depending upon the timber or wood taken from the trees for burning in their houses. So they cut down a lot of trees. It is the responsibility of the government to develop these alternative sources. And by alternative sources, take down the examples like solar energy, like biogas, like hydro power. These are some of the examples. If the government develops these and supplies these in the villages, the pressure on the forests will be less. They will cut down less trees. Clear? So these have to be developed. And please remember, these are very cheap. Only the initial cost is high. Third point, take down. I write the third point here. Checking overgrazing. How can this be done? The fodder is the food that the cattle eat. The fodder should be provided to the animals where they are kept, instead of allowing them full freedom to go into the forest areas and eat up the plants and trees. That is how we can protect our forests. Got it? The third point. We move over to the next point. Now, this point has not been mentioned in the book. This is your fourth point, setting up national parks, sanctuaries, and biosphere reserves. Very briefly, I'll tell you about this, because you usually are not asked about it. All these three are ways of protecting wildlife, flora as well as fauna, in the area where they are existing. A national park is a part of a forest which the government declares it as a national park, and it comes under government's property. You and I cannot go into the forest without permission. We cannot even pick up a fruit over there which has fallen to the ground. We cannot cut the trees there. We are liable to be fined or even taken to the prison. Clear? So this is a strategy, a plan. The government has started. Many parts of India where there are forests, and very famous forests, those have been converted into either a national park or a sanctuary or a biosphere reserve. Here, the difference is in the size. The biggest are the biosphere reserves, and they are in 3 zones. But we will not go into those details. That is not in your syllabus. Just remember, we are protecting animals and plants in the area where they normally live, instead of bringing them to a zoo and keeping them. That is the difference. Clear? Then we come to the 5th point. For protecting forests, we need to make proper laws. And we need to implement those laws. Now, India is one of those countries where laws have been made from 1852. But nobody used to follow those laws. And that is why we have reached such a miserable condition. Clear? What happened? In the days when the Rajas and Maharajas were there, that time also killing wild animals was banned by the law. It was not allowed. But because the Rajas and Maharajas had a favorite pastime, they used to go hunting, and they used to go in big groups and cut down trees in the process of killing wild animals, bring the heads to put it up on the drawing rooms. Clear? It was their hobby. Nobody raised a voice of protest against them. In recent years, thankfully, we have become more conscious. And if anybody is seen killing a wild animal, especially a rare species, he can be reported and he can be taken to prison. It has happened, and very successfully the law has been implemented. So everybody should become conscious that there are laws, and those laws need to be followed. Next, checking forest fires. This is also a new point which is not mentioned in the book. But it is a recent development. We are having a lot of forest fires which destroys the animals and the plants. And forest fires sometimes are due to natural causes, but very often they are due to carelessness of human beings. How can we check forest fires? By making sure that in every forest there is a fire line. A fire line is a path which has no vegetation, no trees, no grass, nothing. Absolutely clear path, approximately, if I remember correctly, 5 meters. 5 meters width it is. Here, one line of trees will be here, one line of trees will be here, nothing in between. Please remember, fire needs a medium. If there is nothing to carry the fire, clear, the fire will not spread. So this is the best method for checking forest fires. Clear? And then we come to the last point. There are other points, but we come to the last point. That will be people's participation. People's participation. Now this technique means what? Local people are involved. The state government and the central government involves the local people to protect the forests. They are told, you are responsible for these forests, you protect them, you don't let outsiders come and spoil them. Clear? Plus, apart from protecting, they are also responsible for increasing the forest area. Where we need to cut down the trees for paper, for any industrial use, they are told, you please do the work of afforestation, please plant trees. So without people's participation, we cannot increase or cannot conserve the forests. We have to teach the people, use the trees, but use it in such a way that the others get a chance to use it. Don't cut down the full tree for your use. Okay? So these are the methods of protection of forests. Under people's participation, we have few terms which you should know. One is social forestry. Social forestry. All kinds of people in the society. It can be a student, a doctor, a housewife, professor, whatever. Everyone is involved in planting trees. And for this, the government has started a festival, One Mahotsav, in Hindi we call it. Festival of planting trees. Clear? Every year in the month when the rains begin. And please remember, for different states of India, rainfall or the monsoon season changes. Clear? So according to the position of the state, every state will have a different month. Festival of planting trees is done. Means people from every part of the society are involved in the process of planting trees. You plant it along the roadside, you plant it anywhere outside your property, but plant to increase the number of trees. Clear? So under social forestry, this has got many names. It's called recreation or extension forestry. Many names are there in the book. Please remember, everyone is involved in this to increase planting of trees. And under this, we also have agroforestry. Now in this, the focus is on the farmer. Farmers are told to grow trees along with growing crops and rearing cattle. Do it together. No matter how small a plot of land you have, you grow crops also. But around the crops, like a boundary you can make, okay, with trees planted. What will happen? Whatever forest products the farmer needs, he will not depend on the other forests. He will get it from his own property. That is why agroforestry is encouraged. All the farmers are being told, grow crops, grow trees. And the process of, or the science of growing trees, learn this term, is known as silviculture. So they should be growing crops, doing farming, as well as silviculture. Got it? So these come under people's participation. And prepare short notes for this. What I have explained to you, like two objectives you should know, not more than 2. The book has listed many objectives. Two objectives you should know for each. That's all. Clear? In brief, last thing which I want to tell you is about the forest policy. And this is again the rules and regulations made by the government. Just note down what the policy aims at. I told you, India has been very, very smart in making policies. And we started, when was it? The first policy was, I think, 1894. So many years back. From 1894, we have a policy, but no effect of that policy. This policy was revised in again 1952, and the most latest revision has been 1988. Clear? Just in case they ask you, that is why I'm telling you the dates. Main, you should know what is the purpose of this policy. And the first point which I gave you, that is the purpose. Increasing forest area. Clear? You can note it down or you put a ditto sign. Increasing forest area by checking deforestation, by increasing afforestation, and by encouraging reforestation. That is the main aim. Clear? And that aim is for what purpose? Note that down. In this, you should know this term, sustainable use of forest products. Sustainable use of forest products. Sustainable meaning using only as much as we need, not one bit extra. And when everybody will practice this, everybody will get enough. When we start hoarding, when we start becoming greedy, then we destroy our forests. So, for forest policy, just this much you need to remember. Lot of things have been mentioned which seldom come. So, do not waste your time over that. Focus on learning about the forests, the features of the trees, climatic conditions. Names of the certain trees have been put in columns in your textbook. Focus on them. The uses are very, very important. Okay? So we end the chapter here. Any doubts you have, I'll be clearing it for you when we resume our normal classes. So thank you for today.